Hey, Michael.
Hey, Solomon, what's going on?
Just another manic Monday.
Yeah. Hey, I think I know why we may not be getting the attendance, or maybe not necessarily why, but I was poking around last night and I noticed that the date for this meeting is
Uh,
actually on the consortium calendar on the 29th.
oh, well, maybe it'll be a very short meeting today.
Right? I was looking at the calendar and I was like, huh.
Huh. Yeah, I didn't catch that either. Well, we'll make it short, record it for posterity, and I think there's a couple things you and I could probably just collaborate on. Well, just us.
Yeah, let me double check it again because it was pretty late when I looked at it, but where is it? Where the heck is it? Oh, oh, calendar. Involved. Oh no, no, it's on the 23rd again now. Never
All
mind.
right, cool. Well, you stand
Yeah.
corrected. Well, we'll give everybody a minute. If there's no one else shows up, we'll just make this a short and sweet one.
Okay.
I did add something to the agenda. I've been talking to a group inside the
Yeah.
Linux Foundation called the First Person Project. And I can give you a long story if you want it, but it started out of a DARPA project that I was part of a little over a year ago, and
Right.
been keeping tabs on them the whole time. And they're at a point where they're deploying, they call them verifiable trust agents, where basically are just, digital clones of the developers that
Right.
are checking in code, particularly around the Linux kernel. So
Okay.
there was an event that happened about 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, where an advanced persistent threat found their way in and was had committed code and it hadn't quite gone into the main branch yet. And somebody caught it, but it had a payload in it in one of the compression libraries that would just basically send stuff back to unhealthy
YouTube.
places.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So, anyways, they decided, this project sort of emerged from that, and the Linux kernel team as said that they'll adopt this new, self-sovereign identity-powered solution, and they're doing it through this program just called First Person Cooperative, I think is the name of the organization they created.
Okay.
So it's a for-profit company that's going to work with the Linux Foundation to deliver a solution, and part of the ingredients is these agents run in the cloud somewhere, so they're always up and available to like verify their code and do all these automated things on behalf of the individual. So confidential compute is a requirement. They
Okay.
they have 100,000 agents, so we got to figure out like they're very open to collaboration. So I should start
Yeah,
there.
we've been looking at that internally. Basically, you
Hmm.
know, the first use case is around workstation identity. That's been a big conversation. If we can gain assurance over the actual or workload identity, I think they're calling it, the actual systems
Right.
that are running these workloads, using that as a means of authentication and a means of permissioning as well, right? Helping to tighten that down. And then we have started that conversation around how do we with AI agents, how do you prove the
Right.
identity of the AI agent beyond, what the spawning agent said it was, right? How do you develop a root of trust for that? And so they've been looking at confidential computing, the attestation component of confidential computing being a means with which to do that as well.
Right.
Hey,
Yeah.
Ritika.
Hi, both. How's it
Hello.
going?
Very
So
well. How
this
about you?
sounds similar, I think.
Sorry for the cross communication. Yeah, it probably is, and we can spend 15 or so minutes if we
Okay.
get that far later on in today's conversation about it. They're actively building and they're looking for guidance. And I said, well, we might be a good, if not us, maybe the TAC could be a little more hands-on with them to help with the technical stuff. But framework-wise, I mean, this is a global project for them,
Yeah.
so there could be some interesting things that we can get out of it too.
Okay.
Cool. Cool. Well, I guess I'll call to order, get ourselves started. Thanks for joining. I know it's pretty light. I think one of the items to add on is maybe we should do a little bit of recruiting over the next couple of weeks to see if we can get some more folks in. But thank you for joining.
It looks like the kind of standards and regulatory work in CCC is kind of spread out across a few different groups right now. So it just feels like it's a bit distributed, maybe.
Yeah, and when we were asked to sort of hop in and help create this one, I think the parts that at least I resonated with is I want to get to projects, I want to get to regulators, I want to get to things that we can actually tangibly work on, because a working demo solves all arguments. If we have something to point to, it's a lot easier. So
Yeah.
I don't know if they're doing the same thing, if they're working hands on with regulators yet or not.
I think so far it's been a lot of like NIST responses. There's been a few RFIs that I know CCC has responded to.
Yeah.
And then I think Mike from NIST also. I don't know if you're on that TAC call.
No, I haven't
A guy.
attended the TAC call in a while.
God. There's just been someone from NIST who actually there's a few different NIST reps who have been doing a lot of engagement in different standards working groups. There's in COSI, SSF, and they've been sending different reps to each of them to engage. So it looks like there's some movement there.
That's great.
That's great. Maybe we could try to raise our hands, see if we can get them to come talk to us, or we can go talk to them.
Yeah. We there's a guy called Mike Bartok who looks like they're the CCC.
I think he's on the GRC, right?
I think so. I forget exactly which calls he's been attending.
Cool. No, thank you for that insight. That's helpful. At least I know that I'm not on any other real calls right now, so just joining is probably the best way to say it. I didn't know. Cool. Yeah, I know November updates. We're all friends already. Administrative updates. I think we're still going to keep this cadence every 2 weeks. I think we probably need to do a little recruiting. I think we need to do a little bit of cross referencing with, it sounds like Mike Burtok and some others that might be really good collaborators. And I think there one other part. I was asked to join the governing board last week, but I couldn't make it for other reasons. So I'll try to circle back around on that in the next GB they have, which I think they're doing monthly right now, but I could be wrong. Any other updates from you, Mike, or anything from you, Rithika, before we get into the minutes from last week, or sorry, last session?
No, I don't have any updates. I know I was hoping to be able to share that write-up that I have around I produced internally here at Chase around how to use segmentation, competence computing for segmentation in PCI environments. But I haven't quite got the clearance on that yet. What I may wind up doing though is if I don't have it by our next call, just providing a rough overlay of it, of what exactly the whole thought is and what have you versus the actual document. It was pretty straightforward though.
Awesome. All right, let me switch my share to the minutes that you took care for us last time. Thank you for that. And I figured out why my screen share wasn't working. There is a button called full screen, and it was using my ultra wide screen, unfortunately. Last time when I was trying to struggle with this. I'll let everybody sort of read these first few. I think are pretty standard. So the charter number 3 did get approved, and we got it committed into source code, and it got merged in this weekend. So it's official. We're on the record. So the charter's good to go. So let's follow the rules and make sure we get what we need out of it. And then I think this is where we could try to just recap a little bit. And I know that it's also on the agenda for today, but the CCAF document, I've looked it over a couple times in the last 2 weeks, and then I saw you had some good edits in there Michael. So I didn't know if you wanted to maybe gloss over that now, or we could gloss over it later and the follow on after the minutes are approved. But
I
I
think
do think there's going to be a continuation of this document until we're ready to do something with it.
yeah, I think we can review the CCAF right now, the CCAF, if that's what you want to do. I
Yeah,
added some comments to it. I don't recall if anybody else did as well, but I think it's worth us taking a look at because I do think that's going to be a significant output from our committee. We'll be, providing guidance to the regulators on what good looks like and, how they should think about confidential computing.
I really agree. I've been, and I'm sure all of us have had our versions of regulation education, right? Where
Yeah.
you're teaching them the new trick, and they're trying to figure out how do I put process and procedure on making sure it's fit for purpose or even acceptable. Cool. Rithika, any thoughts or comments on your side?
No, just getting up to speed again.
Okay, cool. Um, yeah, I think the assurance levels, which are part of that, I think they're still probably need to just make sure that we lock into something consistent. But I think that's probably what we'll end up with. Five levels, zero being he didn't do a good job. Four being something that's looks like acceptable. I think one question that came up when I was speaking with these folks over the first person project is that the question they ask, like, is there a standard for us to build against, or is there a framework that we can build against? So there's a technical request there just as much as there is a regulatory request, because they're not only want to stand this up, operate it, make it technically sound and sovereignly secure, or however they're thinking about the identities within them, since they're self-sovereign identities is how they're building all this stuff. But the part that's important for us, I think, is the regulatory aspect of it. And because of the scale of what they're doing, it's pretty large. I don't know like how much compute they think they need for scale, or how much compute they need for coverage of the world. Like it's sort of a horizontal and vertical problem for them. So cloud is going to fit nicely, but it could be an opportunity for the cloud providers inside the CCC to come up with a common approach, common architecture that would work for this group, and we can sort of map the regulatory framework that goes with it, the controls that are needed, or the controls that are observed. So I'll get more details. I'm happy to put together a meeting with them, and whoever wants to join can join. But I think it would be good to like use them as a test case, because they're actively looking for a solution, and it'd be good to see if we can get more involvement at the technical level, the provider level, while we build the framework for the regulatory level.
I think for two of the three cloud providers, it probably will be pretty straightforward. With Google and Azure using the standard chipsets from
Yep.
I think the challenge will be again, and in large part because they basically said, yeah, we don't care. With AWS in there, we're going our own way with our own chips, and
Yeah.
we'll tell you what's what. I think that's where part of the challenge may be.
Yeah, you're right. And I should mention that part. The guy leading it, his name is Glenn Corey or Corey, I think. Really smart guy. He's in an identity business. What he got a startup identity business of some kind, and he built his prototype in AWS using
Yeah.
the Nitro stuff. And he's like, he came back with the normal things like, it works great except for XYZ. And
Right.
there's some other parts like this isn't really scale with what we're thinking, and yeah, and we want diversity. So it could be where maybe, I don't know, this is a good crossroads question that will come across probably more than once, is when we're looking for ubiquity across a certain segment like cloud providers, let alone hypervisors or other solutions. There's going to be some that stick out, and they might be a leader and they stick out. And is that something we want to try to incorporate into this framework? 'Cause I think we sort of called it out in at least the CCAF, that it sort of isn't the same as everything else.
Yeah, and part what I think, I don't know if it's just too ambitious of us. I go back to the of having that commonality across.
Mhm.
And I just go back to the cloud providers themselves can't even get a common cloud deployment framework going, right?
Right.
Like there's no interoperator. It's not very easy to pick up and go from one cloud provider to the next. So I don't know. I don't know if that's maybe an achievable goal for us. I'm not sure.
I,
It
I,
just by the
I think
nature
we
of
have I think we have the benefit actually of not having to go at it at the totality of the entire cloud. We go after the seed, which is the
it. Yeah.
confidential piece, which is like it's the
Okay.
sanctum sanctorum, right? It's the most important
Yeah.
part. You got to get that right, just like any other like HSMs and things like that. Like they've become pretty ubiquitous. There's maybe one outlier, but for the most part, it's like you get an HSM as a service, which gives you key management and no TEE. And then they address TEE through some kind of confidential compute offering. That's pretty much how the cloud providers have all landed, except for those that let you do like a bare metal, host your own type thing. So it's a little bit of a tangent, I'm sure, but
Yeah.
I think you're right.
But
I think it could be really ambitious, but maybe we just focus on the little
But why
circle
not
called
shoot for the stars,
confidential.
though, right? What's the worst
Yeah,
that happens? They say no.
I say no. Hey, I like
Right?
your attitude.
Nobody's getting beat up, so why not try it?
Exactly, exactly. Well, I think what coming out of the back half of today's call, I think we should dig a little bit deeper into like that idea of like, hey, maybe we create a scenario where we can leverage more than one cloud provider for a project that we get to also bring TAC and GRC and regulations together, and that might be a good harmonizing opportunity, or it could be complete mess. I don't know, but
Yeah.
it's worth looking at. Like you said, shoot for the stars. Why don't we try to find some harmony? Cool.
Do we want to actually look at the document or?
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure on the minutes. Let me just finish up my
Oh,
minutes.
gotcha. Yeah. Sorry. You're right.
Uh, no worries, no worries. I don't think there's anything else on here to update other than BSI. They're waiting for us to make a decision when we want to talk. I don't know if we're ready to talk to them, but when we are, we've got a German regulator that's friendly. They're looking to figure out how are they going to manage CC. They haven't done anything with it yet.
Right.
Um, Again, focusing on the usual suspects. So NATO is pretty interesting. It's an interesting time in the world right now. But
Yeah.
NATO is very open to collaboration across the different countries. So traditionally, they trust each other in what they call their enterprise. But there is a bunch of talk now of creating national, silos of data and operations using clouds, and this could be a good, again, another place to enter ourselves at a regulatory standpoint and say, hey, we want to help, come up or shore up your existing thoughts on using confidential compute in cloud for the NATO mission, for the NATO nations. So got some friendlies there too. So I think as we get the framework closer and closer to like we're ready to showcase it to and really go and use it as a
Yeah.
tool, which maybe that's the question to ask is like the framework is great on paper. We need to use it as a tool, I think, to actually try to drive
Right.
commonality across regulations.
Apologies. I'll be right back. I need to step away for 5 minutes.
Sure. Well, with that, Ritika, we got a minute. Um, any questions? I know you said you're coming up to speed, but anything in particular that you're interested in the RNS stuff?
I think I jumped in a bit late to your and Michael's initial combo here, but was that related to this stuff or was it something separate? The first bullet point maybe?
Oh yeah, there. We were talking about the CCAF, so the framework that we'll pull up here in a second. But
Okay.
actually, right before that, or in the same breaths, really, we were really talking about a project called the First Person. Um, think they're just calling it the first person project. And since then, there's been another entity that's been created called the First Person Cooperative. It's a Linux Foundation project, and now a small business that's trying to build a first person solution. So when I say first person, I mean like self-sovereign identity powered, ecosystem. From
Okay.
like, how do I get agents to work on my behalf and still be trustworthy? Yada yada yada. And like, there's the Linux Foundation went all in on it, and I can't remember the gentleman's name, but one of the leaders said that we're going to go all in on first person for the Linux kernel because they had a security events, and they're trying to like make sure that you have to be a known developer signed off by other developers, even your pipeline and everything else that could be you. It's got to be approved by a community. So it's an interesting problem. And so the first person solutions really do solve it. But the thing that they've run into is like, we need to run these agents, anything that's autonomous that's running, it's got to be in the cloud and it's got to be confidential. And, you know, I'm at Google, but I also want my other, competitors and my collaborators too, to all come together and say, hey, the industry is asking for a solution. They're going to need some help out there at how to do this, but also with a global initiative like this, because the kernel touches everything. What does
Yeah.
that mean, regulatory standpoint?
Okay. And there's like a proposed approach to this. Like, is it like a hardware backed identity?
Yeah, they want it to be, well, there's two parts to it. They'll allow for like numeric 24 word phrase type identity. So you have a secret that you keep or put in the vault, or you'll have some kind of, I, some kind of piece of hardware, fob or whatever that you authenticate to an encrypted version of that secret. But there's a secret that is your identity, and that's what they use. If you go to firstperson.network, it the whole proposal's in there. It's really good. The white paper is a really good read.
Yeah, there's
I'll put it
a
in the.
lot of identity solutions coming out. Like, have you heard of World?
I have, yeah, I have. I've used that a couple
Which
times.
is, yeah, a little bit scarier, but I don't know what the other options are. So
Well, this one I like. Here, I'll put it in the chat so we have it up on the thing. If I can find a chat. Is there not a chat? Oh, there is a chat. Okay. Yeah, it's a firstperson.network. They It started out as a DARPA project. I was at the meeting when it started, actually, so I happened to
oh,
be at
cool.
that project. So I have a background that's pretty weird, but I end up getting to hang out with people doing interesting, innovations and projects. So, anyways, the idea is you yourself should be able to create your identity and manage it yourself, but you need to find ways to create relationships and create trust and all of that. So it's a really
Right.
what they're doing is bringing like 3 or 4 other either Linux projects or standalone projects together into one big, framework that sort of synthesizes it all and isn't world. And it's like it is you, and you can be as small as you want or as large you want, but it's still all about like how much identity do you need today?
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a good
Yeah, I
and
apologize. I'm back.
no worries, no worries. Well, we were just chatting, so I'm gonna go ahead and just wrap up the minutes here. I think we spent more time on it than we probably needed to, but I think we did get some good background. So hopefully everybody's okay with approving the minutes.
Yep,
Yes,
approved.
cool, done, done, easy. All right, so I was just gonna put this back up. CCAF. I just realized it's CAF.
The quick half.
CAF. Yeah, go with that. Um, that's what. Um, yeah,
The only thing I'm worried about is that what I'm suggesting may make it too wordy, too long.
I'm not worried about that. Edits will always take care of themselves in the end.
Okay.
I mean, I think it's good. Um, Yeah, I think it's good. We can add it.
Okay.
Let's bring it in. Let's bring it in.
Okay.
Let's see. Yeah, I've gone through this quite a few times. I think the parts that I still think we need some, yeah, the supply chain part. I don't think we have any
And
outcomes. Hmm?
is it not showing up? I had on there also the. Let's see if I can bring it up here. Nope, closed out. Great. I had on there also a comment around the where the I guess it didn't save it. Well, that's unfortunate.
What?
So I
You
had
had
a comment there
you had three
on the
comments
assurance
I
level.
saw.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's right here.
The effective is assurance level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. The CC eels.
Yeah.
Uh,
So part of it is that we had we've talked about here, especially in the area of nitro enclaves,
hmm
that there's some limitation in what you can the type of workloads you can run in them because of the memory space and what have you.
hmm
But is there still just value in the fact that measurements were taken at runtime, right? You at least
Yeah.
knew what was running at runtime. You don't have any drift protection from that, right? It could have changed if it was somewhat dynamic, or if you allowed for sysadmin access into the enclave, something like that, right? But was there something where we could say, in between zero, no confidentiality, and the next level being measured attestation at runtime, and then the next one being vendor bound TEE?
Yeah, I mean, we could just shift it up to 5. We don't have to do like a, between
Okay.
1 and 5. We just do, the what you just described becomes the new one, right?
Yeah.
The boot time attestation or measurement.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think that makes sense. Let's come back here and just say, uh, yeah, cool. I'll have some document time today and tomorrow to work on this stuff. So I'll come back and
I
add
can
it.
add it too if you want. It's fine.
Okay.
Since it's my comments, I don't mind adding
Okay. Cool.
them.
Sounds good. I think
Okay.
the other part that I was just pointing out is we're missing some outcomes in the objectives. We have a rationale for things, but no outcome. Like
That's
cryptographic
true.
isolation and key management, like great, great, great. Maybe AI will help just pick up a couple things here, but um, I think we just need to come back with some outcomes to be consistent, or we drop the outcomes if everything's going to be in the rationale.
Okay.
Because this one, I think the root of trust and platform integrity, it makes a lot of sense, and the outcome is proof the system is trusted. Where I think the cryptographic isolation would be, confidence that cryptography is not poisoned or leaking, something along those lines.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the GPUs, hardware. Okay, I'll take the action to do that. So I can.
Okay.
I said I have some time for that. Cool. I'm not seeing it. Oh gosh. Let's do it here. That's why it's not showing up. And yes. Cool. All right. Um, anything else in here that's hot that we need to raise? I think you had one more comment at the
I had
bottom
one more
here.
comment there towards the bottom.
Yeah.
It was more of a bullet point. I thought adding it to a bit more on the bullet point on what the steps will actually lead out to.
Right.
And this speaks more to like the overall outcome.
Right.
What
No, I
the
think it's a
outcomes
good
are
point.
gonna be.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that summary or that the sum of the parts outcome.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think it makes sense. Yeah, I mean, the case is made in my mind. This makes sense. I think we just need to put the right, verbiage and maybe a little bit of structure change just to show that, hey, this is we went through all the things, we did the rationales, we got the outcomes. Now we probably need to say like, and that total thing is this with these, outcomes, or maybe there's still a need for, keep consistent, add rationale as another thing, but I think it might be redundant. I think there's going to be more output. The outcome is going to be more valuable because of the culmination of the different parts, right? The level, the objectives, whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I consider that a good idea. Maybe we'll just, if you wouldn't mind,
Yep.
cutting up
Not a
a
problem.
draft of it. Cool, man.
Yeah. I'll add those over here shortly as well.
Awesome. Any other thoughts or comments from either of you?
I don't. I think this is a really awesome document. I think this will start to really advance the conversation. We'll have something when we start engaging with these regulators, these regulating bodies, to hand them what we're thinking and how this may fit into their help drive the conversation, how this may fit into their framework.
Solomon,
Cool.
could you drop a link to the doc if it's
Yeah.
shareable/public?
It is. Yeah, there's a whole drive that is. Let me make sure that you're in it. I think. I think I found you. Yep, I found you. I'll add you to it. You can see. Cool. Actually, Rita, can you put your email in there? I thought I saw you in here again. I don't see you in here.
Thank you.
Could you put it in the chat, please, so I can fix that? Perfect.
Oh,
Thank you so much.
no, I messed it up. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
I did it. Okay, that should be good.
Got it. Thank you so much. I'll put you down as a commenter. You should be able to have access to the whole folder. Cool. All right. What's next? Sorry. Oh, I just realized we have 2 regulatory and standards directories. That could be part of our problems.
We do?
We do.
Ah.
I don't know what to do about it.
Maybe Mike could help us with that.
Yeah.
I'll include in the minutes.
All right. Now you should have an invite. Sorry, it took me a second to get it done. I think I found you. I think I got you in there. All right, cool. Let's see what was next. Do our little agenda. So we did the minutes. Check that off. Back. Standard bearers. I mean, so I think we might want to just have a constant stream in here about the different entities and where we might be with them, and maybe we should have a tracking doc. 'Cause I'm pretty sure we're going to get more than one in our sites, and we'll want to just track, like, who's running point on them, where are they at, or where are we at with them. So I was thinking maybe this, industry standard bearers we tweak for the common streams for now, but I think it's a work stream of getting ready or engaging with the different standards bodies, not just the responding to standard inquiries. To your point earlier, Mike, I think we need to like have a framework that we're driving towards, distribution or collaboration with these errors. Cool. We just did the CCAF, so I think we can call it good for now. And I just want to circle back around because I
Hey,
did.
looks like we have a new joiner.
Oh, hey.
Oh,
Hello.
not a new joiner, but I think you've been here before.
It's me. So
Hey.
I have some difficulty in finding the calendar invitation. Finally, I found it.
Oh, all right. Hi. Glad you can make it. Thanks for joining. Yeah, we were just going into a conversation around a potential project that we want to get the TAC and other CCC bodies engaged with. But yeah, I'm glad to meet you. I've seen your name and I've heard your name. I hadn't met you yet, so pleasure to meet you.
Me too. Thanks for leading the effort.
Oh, no problem. No problem. I don't mind at all. Yeah, so I think the part I was just getting into, and actually, did you want to introduce yourself just so everybody knows everybody, or does everybody know each other already? I'm probably the least informed.
Okay, so very brief introduction. I'm Jin. I was at the University of Florida as a professor there for many years. And then I came back to China and joined Huawei, being the chief scientist here in managing the technology related to confidential computing. I'm a board member of CCC, and I'm glad to join the Regulation and Standards SIG here.
Thank you so much. I'll be real brief. So I'm Solomon Cates. I work for Nelly, so you'll know right away what that means. I do key management and other solutions at Google, primarily focused around sovereignty. That's sort of my expertise. And I do come back from I have a background of building and marketing HSMs at a couple different vendors. So TEEs are pretty familiar for me, and definitely the regulatory part of it is something I'm very comfortable with, because you always have to get these things approved. So I'm glad to hop in. Michael?
Yeah.
Yeah, my name is Michael Guzman. I work for JP Morgan Chase, and I primarily lead data management and cloud security efforts, but very interested in the offerings of confidential computing. In part, I use some of my expertise as a former PCI QSA to talk about how the segmentation and the effective controls for SaaS vendors that are being leveraged by financial institutions to start adopting confidential computing.
Great. Fantastic.
Hi, I'm Ritika. I work with Equity Labs. We build integrity tools for AI systems, and mostly focused on hardware-based attestations, and provenance chains. I've got a background in forestry, and slowly kind of made my way into this space. And I also work with the Ethereum Foundation for the other half of the week.
That's awesome. Forestry. I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Right?
my daughter
I feel like I'm infiltrating a bit.
It's totally fine. My daughter goes to Oregon State, and they obviously forestry is a big part of their curriculum out there, and she really loves it. So she did a bit of that.
It's nice to be on your feet rather than staring at a computer all day sometimes, but definitely a balance.
Indeed. Cool. All right. So the last sort of topic that we're diving into was something that we've already brought up a couple of times, but we'll be a little more thorough now. So I'll take a step back. I've been working with a group called the First Person Network, which is a Linux Foundation project. They are focused on self-sovereign identity sort of based ecosystem. So trust and verification and relationships. So traditionally, centralized identity systems handle a lot of these things for you. Who are you? What role do you have? Are you trusted to use certain things? They are going the other way around, which is I am an individual. I should be able to enroll my identity the way I want, but still create relationships and access to resources and all that in a more decentralized way. The problem with the self-sovereign identity initiative, just as a general, industry, is it's been very fractured. It's been very hard to have like a rallying cry because it is decentralized and it's going to be really, unfortunately broken up into different pockets. So I put the link, I think, in the chat earlier. There is a link in a white paper you can go look at called the First Person Network. And they have created a cooperative to go along with the network because they're actively building across a couple different for-profit companies to build a solution set that they can use for solving a handful of different use cases. But their first use case is actually the Linux kernel. So there was an security incident a little over a year ago, I guess now, maybe two, where there was a developer who snuck in some code that shouldn't have been in there, and there was no way to verify that they were really a legitimate Linux kernel developer. They had a long, they worked a long way to sneak in. And so there was no relationship challenging or anything else. So it was fortunately it was prevented, but it woke them up that the Linux Foundation really needed a solution. So that's why they put together this first person network initiative to bring a self-sovereign driven, completely decentralized, because that's the way that open source works really well, solution, yet build it in a way where you have to have some kind of way to connect the dots, create the relationships. So there's a piece of it in this project called the Verifiable Trust Agent, the VTA. And the VTA is almost like it's a function that sort of mirrors the developer or the user so that they can, attest to things, sign things, do things on behalf of the user that they're authorized to do. But it has secrets, of course, to come with that. So they've built a solution. They're currently using it in AWS as a pilot, but they need a longer term vision and a longer term solution for 100,000 Linux developers who are the active developers on the Linux kernel need to be, sort of onboarded to a platform that can scale with them over time. So they've asked for some guidance, and I just have a good relationship because I happen to be, connected to that community. So it's definitely something I think the TAC needs to get involved with. Definitely something maybe even the GB might want to get involved with or aware of. But there is a need and a request from them to have a potential collaboration around what does the regulatory aspects of confidential compute mean, because they have to run this like a global service, and that could lead into some conversations, particularly since it's public forum to some extent, yet private operations in the back end. EU will probably be a lot easier than other geographies to understand what regulatory or what data security and GDPR, things like that came into the mix. What's the responsibility of the developer? What's the responsibility of the infrastructure? Yada yada yada. So it's an open dialogue still, but I think they're asking for guidance and they're willing to sort of show what they've built and see if there's something that we can work on together. So I'm sharing that with the group because I think there's a project there that one or more of us could get involved in, and I think it's more than just the regulations, of course, but this is a good place to sort of test our multi-region framework ambitions against. So I'll stop there and see if there's any questions or thoughts.
Would this relate in any way to like government digital identity systems?
Not necessarily. I mean, I think if I take that question at face value, I think they have an opinionated version of what an identity is. It has to be a digital identity. So as long as it's compatible with a DID, I think technically it'll work. I just know that they're sort of building their own stuff from the bottom up. So my guess tells me like probably if it's compatible with the DID.
Gotcha. Okay.
Well, if there's no other questions on that, I mean, I'll just keep it going. If anybody's interested in getting involved or having a conversation or riding along, please let me know. But I'm meeting with a couple of them later this week, just on a quick phone call, just to see like, hey, what is it you really need, and what is it we really could provide. And if it's nothing, then we'll step back. But I think there is something there, just with the nature of like it's a global project. If nothing else, it lets us learn and fail on something.
Really cool.
Yeah.
No problem. And then the last bit, next steps, future planning. So I think we have action items to sort of bring in those comments you had, Michael. I have an action to sort of fill in those outcomes, make sure it's just more complete. I think we should probably send that back up to both the TAC and the governing board for their review, because we have made some changes, we have some thoughts. The question is, do we want to do that before we air it out a little bit with sort of a regulator first, or should we do it after? I think the BSI, conversation is probably going to come up faster than, we could probably go through any kind of approval process. So it might be better just to like know that we're going to go out and test the waters with BSI, but give the other bodies a preview. I think they all have access to it. I just don't know if they're aware of what we're doing.
Right.
Cool. I have nothing else on the agenda or the next steps today. Anybody else? Any new business?
Yeah, I don't have any.
Since I joined late, I think what I just want to brief all of you is about the progress in the in ISO.
Oh, please, yes. I heard about
Right.
it. I didn't know. I didn't have any
Yeah,
details.
just a very quick introduction of the progress. What happened last week? It was the 5th ISO it's called JTC1 SC27 WG4. It's about information security meeting. And finally, the liaison from CCC, Alec Fernandez, he joined the meeting remotely online, and I joined the meeting in person. We finally pushed forward the ISO confidential computing standard from CD stage to DIS stage. If it's finalized, then the next stage is IS, which is international standard. But it's only the part 1, which is the concept of confidential computing. After that, we are currently working on the part 2 and 3, the content of the standard, the confidential computing standard. I will keep. I mean, the progress is very slow. It's been 3 years for the part 1 to come to this stage, but I will keep you informed.
Please do. If there's any help we can give, please don't hesitate to ask. I do understand ISO can be very, very, very time consuming. It's a long journey. Most regulations are long, but ISO is definitely one of the longest ones I've seen.
Correct.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. With that, I figure we can close it up unless anybody's got any last minutes, business. Cool.
Did you want to share the link to the CACAF document for?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think you might have access already, but if not, I'll double check.
I have it. I'm just wondering for Nikita and Year if they,
Yep. I will put it in the chat right now so that everybody has it before we go. I think I saw your names in there, but
cool. Yeah. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so it's got we've got the minutes in there, but we also got the framework and a couple other documents we're working on. But the framework is the one that
I just sent a request to view
Perfect.
the document.
I will take care of that.
Okay, Thank you.
And the CCAF, I don't know if that's the correct way to say the acronym. Is there a deadline on when you guys need feedback or need to hand that in?
We're going to do another meeting in 2 weeks. I would like to have it in a state where we're ready to seal it up and send it on to the GB and the TAC because they asked us to look at it. So 2 weeks, it'll be great. And as I said, the BSI is interested in having a conversation in April, so we might be using it pretty quickly. So yeah, 2 weeks would be fantastic.
Got it. Okay.
Thanks. Awesome. Thanks, everybody.
Cool. Thanks, everyone.
All right.
Thanks, all.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.